edition, play-in edition of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I'm your host, Noah Love, and tonight we will be going through the two play-in games from, well, today's Thursday, so 2 days ago, and then the two play-in games that ended earlier. Uh, the Warriors beat the Grizzlies to advance to take on Houston. That 2-7 matchup is going to be great. Grizzlies play Friday night against, spoiler, Dallas, who beat Sacramento tonight. And the two East games were terrible. The Magic destroyed the Hawks, and the Bulls destroyed the Heat. The Hawks and the Heat will play for who gets sent home by the one-seeded Cavs in 4 or 5 games. But let's get into it. Let's start with the Warriors and Grizzlies, because this has been the best game so far of the play-in. Pretty much the only good one. The other threes have sucked. Uh, the Grizzlies, you're going to look at the box score for the Warriors, and it's going to be a little bit of, wow, Steph and Jimmy went crazy. Steph had 37, Jimmy had 38. I actually thought Memphis did a decent job on Steph Curry. I thought Memphis did a good job of getting physical with Steph Curry. I thought they made him take some tough shots. In terms of the long ball, he shot well, but in terms of the 2-point, he didn't shoot that great. Jimmy, it was playoff Jimmy. He had 38.7 boards, 6 assists. Jimmy has been so huge. They were able to get to the line. It was really Jimmy and Steph just getting to the line. The fouls were insane in this game. The refs definitely had their fingerprints all over this game, which this is playoff basketball. I know it's playoff basketball essentially. The refs have their fingerprints on? Look, the Warriors were 3-1 coming in against the Grizzlies this season, and they win at home. Look, the story of the game, Warriors was up 20, then Memphis started to come back. Ja late in the third rolled his ankle in the game. So I guess he got retaped, and they came back. I thought Desmond Bane was great. Desmond Bane at 30, he always shows up. I also thought in this basketball game, Zach Edey, 14.17 boards. Yes, he was good in that respect, but he looked like a rookie on the defensive end. They put him in every ball screen action, and they just cooked them, man. Look, Memphis can't against the Warriors. It's a bad matchup because you can't play drop coverage on Steph Curry, and Zach can't really get out there a lot. I mean, look, Golden State, I just think it's a bad matchup for Memphis. Golden State, they obviously lost the game against the Clippers so they're in this play-in, but they got it done, and now they get a little bit more rest. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they travel Saturday, and then they play the last game of the opening weekend of the playoffs, which is there at Houston. So yeah, that's gonna be big. Look for Memphis in this game. They played well enough to win. First of all, the 5-second violation, that's just ridiculous how you don't even get it, even though I think it was a little bit of a quick 5-second violation. But I thought, look, offensive rebounding, they were good. The Warriors don't have enough size. They just don't against Memphis. But Steph's a bad man. Jimmy gave him, in the last 2 games against Memphis, Steph has 37 and he had 53 in the last outing. Before this one. I just think here, first of all, with Steve Kerr not playing Johnson Kuminga, what the heck is up with that? I thought Gary Payton gave them nice contributions. They left them open. He hit a couple three balls, did a nice job of rolling, play some good defense. I thought Quinton Post in the minutes they gave him played well. He played 22 minutes at 11 points. Post was plus 12 when he was on the floor. In terms of the fouls, look, it was getting ridiculous. Like, just for the Warriors, Green had 6, Butler had 4, Pods had 3, Post had 4. For the Grizzlies, it's even more ridiculous. Jaren had 4, Zach had 5, Bane had 4, Scottie Pippen Jr. fouled out. He had 6, and Aldama had 3 fouls. So, But Golden State advances to take on Houston. My early thoughts on that is going to be a physical series, ugly series. How will Houston react? Because even though they have Van Fleet and Brooks who can help those guys, Şengün and Green, again, with a young team, you just really never know. In terms of the playoffs and how they will react to it, you just never know. But I would early take. I think the Warriors take it. I just think Steph, Jimmy, they're too. I think they're too good. I think Steph, the physicality, he knows what to expect. I think Jimmy, his ability just to get to the free throw line and his ability to take over when Steph is not in the game. Now, the coaching matchup is going to be huge because Steve Kerr versus Udoka. I'm giving the edge to Udoka. Obviously, I think Udoka's great. That's going to be a big time coaching matchup. What adjustments will they make? I think the Warriors. I think Steph's 4-0 against them. So Steph is going to have a lot of confidence walking into that building. But this is a different team, different iteration. So that shall be an interesting series. But Houston can win. Again, Houston can either get bounced in the first or go to the conference finals. I think they're that good. Quickly, Orlando and Atlanta. Look, there's not much to this other than Orlando kick their butts. Yes, Atlanta kind of cut it close in the second, third, but that fourth quarter. Look, Orlando, they play at slow pace. They want to make you play in the half court, but their defense is so good. Banchero's a tough cover. Atlanta likes to play fast. They were not able to play fast. And in the half court, they're not really good. They don't have a guy that can really just beat it outside of Trey. And if Trey, he kind of had a rough night. So, yeah. Orlando goes to Boston. I think Boston gets them an easy 5. I just think they play it to Orlando plays at slow pace. I think Boston, their tough shot making ability in this series, I think will be the difference. I think I give Orlando a game because I think Banchero can go off for a game and get them a win, but no Suggs as well in this series. I just don't think Orlando is going to have enough to beat Boston. So yeah, shout out to Cole Anthony at 26 coming off the bench. He was incredible. Also shout out Anthony Black, 16 off the bench. Cole Anthony was plus 32. Anthony Black was plus 34. Doesn't get no better than that. In Atlanta, they'll be back home Friday night to take on Miami Heat. The Miami Heat blowout Bulls. This is as wire to wire as you'll get. This was as wire to wire as you'll get. Miami came out, punched Chicago in the mouth at home, and they have no answer for them. And Chicago, as a young team, didn't have an answer. This is the third time in a row the Bulls season has ended via Miami in the play-in. Miami owns them. Miami, they just own them. And as crazy as a season or as controversial as a season the Heat have had, they're a win away from going to the playoffs. Which is kind of crazy. That just shows you how good of a coach Eric Spoelstra is. Look, I thought their defense was really good. Look, this was all around game. I thought Bam he had double double. I thought Bam he missed some shots, but I thought he was good. I thought Tyler Hero 38 points. He saw what Jimmy did and said, "Hold up." Uh, I thought Wiggins he had a nice 20 ball. Uh, I thought Davion Mitchell, he came in, gave him 15, and was great on defense. Look, the defense was great from Miami, holding Chicago under 100. Chicago likes to get out on the break. They didn't do that. Like they held Chicago 16 points in the fourth quarter. Like their game plan was great, suffocated them on defense. They shot it great in the first half. Kobe White was not good tonight for Chicago. 5 of 20, man. It hurt. Giddey, I thought he played well. He had 25 and 10. Thought he played really well. The Bulls got nothing from their bench. Meanwhile, Miami got a lot from their bench. Vucevic had a decent game. He had 16 and 12. Buzelis, 9. Look, the Bulls have a young core. They just got to put some more pieces around them, but I think they'll be back in terms of this spot because the East is so weak. Miami versus Atlanta. My early take on that game is Miami can beat them. Atlanta doesn't play any type of defense. Wants to be an up and down game. Trey's gonna have to go off because if he doesn't, I don't know how he does. Dyson Daniels, who's their best defender, who's the only one that plays defense on Atlanta, will have the assignment of Tyler Hero, try to slow him down. I think Bam, this is going to have to be a big game for him against Okongwu and Moge. I think that's going to be where Miami will have the advantage because I don't think either of those guys can guard him. But honestly, the winner gets the 8 seed. I don't think Atlanta wanted the 7 seed. I think because they have given Cleveland, they've beat Cleveland once or twice this year. It's just something about them. They're not really going to have anybody for Trey. That's if they win. But they talk about Heat culture. And look, Spoelstra, this time of year, this is where the elite coaches show out. And even though the roster isn't that talented, because outside of Hero and Bam, what do you got? Even though the roster isn't that talented, he just knows how to coach and he just knows how to get his guys ready to play. And I think that's really been the difference. But he's outcoached Billy Donovan in the last 3 playing games to get them a win. So yeah, they go to Atlanta and hopefully that'll be rocking. The last game, Dallas with a 44-19 second quarter. They take control of the game and they beat the Kings. Look, if you point to anything, it's the 44-19. That's where they won the game because I'm looking at the quarters here. First quarter 29-27, third quarter 33-28, fourth quarter 25-21. But the Mavs were so dominant in that second quarter. Klay Thompson said, "Last year I went over 10. I'm redeeming myself." He got 23. AD had 27. 27 and 9. That's why you have PJ Washington at 17. I thought the Mavs were really they were so locked in and focused into what they wanted to do. So locked in and focused. The Kings, that second quarter, something fell off. Like LaVine played okay. DeRozan did his thing, but after that, they really just shut down. Look, Sabonis was okay. Dallas really controlled the game, I thought. And look, we talk about the Nico Harrison trade and how dumb that is. And I've talked about it on here, obviously. But they are 48 minutes away from potentially grabbing a playoff spot. Now, what they do with it, brooms, but because OKC's going to beat either one of these teams, either Dallas or Memphis. Every time AD sees Dallas, he just destroyed Dallas. Every time AD sees Memphis, he just destroys them, mainly destroys Jared Jackson. So look, we'll see how that goes. The early favorites in this game, Atlanta favored by 1.5 against Miami, Dallas, and Memphis. Memphis favored by 6.5 early. That place will be rocking. Uh, and if Dallas is as locked in, that's a veteran group. They're not just gonna lie down. So that'll be interesting. That series will be interesting. Obviously, Saturday kicks off the NBA playoffs. We kick it off with Milwaukee and Indiana, LA and Denver, Detroit, New York, and then Minnesota and LA. The series I'm most intrigued about out of those four, honestly, I think Minnesota and LA. That's very, and all four are intriguing, but I think Minnesota, LA. I think all four of these series have the potential to go to at least 6 games. Um, Indiana and Milwaukee's interesting to me because I think no Dame. Milwaukee's been playing a real team game, but so has Indiana. Uh, Indiana's played well ever since 10 and 15. They finished 40-17. These two teams faced off last year. That's going to be big time. LA and Denver. Look, how are they going to guard Kawhi Leonard? Who are they going to put on Harden? How will Zubac fare against Jokic? Because I think Zubac should be most improved player of the year, but Jokic is a whole different ball game. Crowd's gonna be rocking in Ball Arena. That's gonna be really good. I'm excited to watch that game. Detroit at New York. How will New York, or not New York? How will Detroit fare seeing that in MSG? Uh, it's a playoff crowd. It's going to be play. Look, Tobias Harris played against New York last year, but Cade now they have some veterans that can help their young guys. But Cade, Duran, Thompson, those guys haven't really seen the playoffs. So how will they react? It's also in Madison Square Garden, so that'll be interesting. Look, Minnesota and LA has so many storylines, so many storylines. The start of the Luka LeBron playoff run potentially, Anthony Edwards in Minnesota being underdogs after making the Western Conference Finals last year. No, it's a different iteration. Uh, will the size, will size having not lost size hurt LA on the glass? Uh, Ant versus Luka and LeBron. Ant versus LeBron. Ant versus Luka in Randall revenge series. How will Randall take it, considering this Lakers team just basically let him go, and now they're finally getting him. He's finally getting him. How will he play? Will he rise up to the challenge? So that is going to be great. Um, I'm excited for this weekend's playoffs. Can't wait to watch some of these games. I'll try to get an episode out tomorrow talking about some of the other stories in the sports world. I promise we will dive into the Nico situation, Tennessee quarterback, and where he transferred to, and how this NIL is killing college football. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But this has been a special late night, kind of shorter edition of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Until tomorrow, today, next time, talking to you. See ya. Please like, comment, and subscribe.